Starfield explained. I hope he explains why this game got released in the first place.
Mankind's minds have always been full of questions, like, are we alone in the universe? What happens after we die? Is the sea salty because the shore never waves back? Who milked the first cow, and what was their deal? And of course,
I think the cow question is a little bit more complicated. Hear me out, okay? I have thought about this obviously a lot. So, did the first person who milked the cow, well, let's be real, it was 99% man, right? Did he use his hand or his mouth straight up? What was the procedure? And then, after he figured out, wait a minute, this is edible, how did he convince the rest of the people that it was reasonable to try what he did? How did that go down?
what do you get when you make a game where you can create a watermelon waterfall and then roleplay as Arnold from the Magic School Bus immediately after? Well, good friends, the answer is
Starfield. 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 Starfield.
That's it.
Todd is my spirit animal, I'm not gonna lie. He is the greatest liar of all time. He is a true virtuoso in the craft.
Since its release, I haven't seen people so divided since the great left versus right Twix debate. Which brings us to mankind's greatest question. Is Starfield a good game?
No.
The great rule of cinema, however, is to show, don't tell. So to answer that, we'll be following the story of today's protagonist, Polygon Picklesworth. A simple miner making a simple living, surrounded by simply rude people that Polygon's hair testified he was better than.
I hear this is the last dig. What's wrong with you? Hey, watch it! Glad when we're up.
If you did not do this in the opening of the game, my instantaneous assumption is you're an NPC. I'm not gonna lie. You probably don't even have an inner monologue. I'm just gonna put it right out there. Because the beginning of the game is so dull, so long, so boring, that this is the only thing that you can actually do.
Up this rock. Careful!
He had had enough until one fateful day he found something that would change his life forever. Polygon, noticing the floating cubes, correctly assumed that he was on drugs and had found the purest natural source of rare solid ketamine. Naturally, in this state, he attempted to use it, promptly resulting in a trip so intense he lost his job so hard that he got promoted to member of the Pure Ketamine Finders Club, nicknamed Constellation. There, he met a new co-worker that secretly despised him, named Sarah. Now, Polygon's parents had always taught
I mean, that's technically true, I guess.
him not to trust lawbreakers, and Sarah didn't obey the laws of physics at all, which deepened his growing mistrust of her. But being a proud member of the Picklesworth family, he decided to accept their task to find their
Wait. It moves? That... Oh, he just must have a bad PC in that case, because you usually don't even get to see this move.
decided to accept their task to find their lost friend named Barrett, who Polygon mistakenly hoped would have a giant gun arm.
Makes sense.
While Polygon wished he was listening to Starman by David Bowie, his ship was hailed by a friendly spaceman who warned him not to play Assassin's Creed because it had lost its steam years ago. Polygon thanked him for the warning, and like all gamer advice, immediately ignored him. Once planetside, the newly appointed Captain Picklesworth learned that a cowboy who couldn't stop showing off had brought a child onto his ship against his will. He took a mental note to prepare his defense.
I mean, that's kind of a red flag if you think about it just a little bit. I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to trust cowboys in general. Space cowboys just amplify the risk. And now the space cowboys bringing up a sassy child up on the spaceship? I'm sorry, but that's just way too many red flags. You know, Sarah's non-existent ass has less red flags than that situation.
Against the inevitable child endangerment charge he'd face if he ever got pulled over by the space cops. He suspected the cowboy was trying to commit insurance fraud, so he joined Sarah in Polygon's new no trust naughty list. Since Barrett had only been kidnapped a bit ago, Polygon had plenty of time to stop by his old workplace to gloat to his old boss, who he might have abandoned in a firefight a few days ago. Or he quit. Or he was fired. To be honest, he couldn't remember due to being drugged up the wazoo at the time, but regardless, she was ecstatic to see him.
Oh no, don't start.
She told him the happy news that
Dude, bro, I absolutely love that Bethesda adds dialogue options like this. did they really think that you can even create an emotion, anything even remotely close to emotional attachment to this character, to this throwaway, do nothing for 20 minutes, wait until boring talk gets finished character? I understand this game was written by a 10-year-old, but man, is this pushing it.
Was ecstatic to see him.
Oh no, don't start.
She told him the happy news that everyone there had been murdered by pirates, which made him so ecstatic he finally decided to be honest and truthful.
Are you joking? Or are you just a coward?
So he decided to never tell the truth again. He also decided to tell Sarah to wait, and then took off and left her behind for being so insensitive. Remarkably, Sarah had prepared for this, and like Hugh Jackman from the movie The Prestige, had a clone ready to take her place on the ship. Thwarted, he asked his most well-rounded, loyal, intelligent, and driven companion to accompany him. He had only just met
Man, that must have been one hell of a party.
companion to accompany him. He had only just
when you're sleeping like that and when your head doesn't even touch anything, it's just like stuck there, and you wake up like it's no big deal. You know, it's been a good day.
met him a few days ago, but he could tell he had his priorities straight.
Do you have an academy where fans can practice groveling at your feet? If not, I can start one.
After getting his daily amount
By the way, straight ripped from... Which one was it? Morrowind? I don't remember even. But straight ripped up from there, yes. One of the only things that people like about this game is just a copy-paste from their older games. And that's called, commonly, bankrupt. Creatively bankrupt.
of cardio on Planet Ubisoft, Polygon miraculously ran into one of his old miner co-workers named Heller. Polygon accurately pointed out he didn't need a filibuster from him, so Heller tried to guilt trip him.
Yeah, you know, you're really the one who should be upset about all this. Me, laying here, half-conscious, real inconvenience.
He was an inconvenience, and also a bigger liar than Jim Carrey in the movie Liar Liar, because he revealed he was faking his injury the whole
Well, in that movie he can't lie, so it does make sense that he wouldn't lie.
time. It was at this moment Polygon vowed to never trust an injured man again. Shortly after, he met a woman who offered him money to go find people he could use this new skill on. Excited to tell his therapist he was trying new things like they talked about, he realized he was a natural-born killer. All he had to do was imagine his enemies were Sarah. Believing he was the son of John Wick and
Makes
Wolverine,
sense.
he charged into a building and was promptly riddled with bullet holes until he died. Miraculously, he got up, and believing he was the son of John Wick and Wolverine, he committed a minor genocide. He found some doctors and security guards
Hey, every game you play, you technically are a space murder hobo. It's great.
in hiding who didn't bother helping Polygon clear the building. So he did some research with them and found out they were bulletproof, proving that they
can't
could have
kill
made his
them,
fight much
obviously.
easier. Moving on, he encountered a man who raised
Someone offends you in this game. What do? Well, you shoot them. Turns out, well, now the whole city's hostile against you, and guess what? They're invulnerable. Like every named NPC in this game. No, seriously, you can't find a named NPC that is not like that. An NPC can tell you that they're gonna betray you, murder you, sabotage you, and do all of that, and you still can't even take them out. Why? Bethesda reasons, I guess, would be the right answer here.
radiated raw anime protagonist energy, who he tried to shoot, but overestimating how many bullets he'd need to take down a weeb, he heroically retreated and was swiftly shot in the back of the head. However, the anime god smiled upon his anime arc and brought him back so he could murder the remaining spacers. On the next floor,
Look at how he's running out of absolutely all the bullets. Classic. No one played this game in Bethesda.
he ran into two adrenaline junkies in a toxic friendship, who liked to live life on the edge by pointing their guns at each other for no reson whatsoever.
The scientists here are good people.
Someone's been taking out the spacers.
Every one of them that died is a loss for all of us. I don't believe it. Are they all gone?
Thanks to the stranger.
Polygon was bored, and poor, and money talks, so he helped kill the remaining spacers. Further convincing Polygon
Not
that the
bad.
Geneva Convention was just a suggestion, and then he killed more people for them,
It's literally called the Geneva Suggestion, dude.
and some more. And more. It crossed Polygon's mind that he had never killed a man until 2 days ago, and now he couldn't remember how many he had killed, but he brushed off the thought. He reasoned at least he wasn't as bad as the monster who decided the fear of long words should be called hippopotomonstrosesquipedaliophobia. A word I certainly didn't have to practice and ask Google how to pronounce. Pondering his morals reminded Polygon to think, which reminded him to remember that a child had been on board his ship this entire time.
Don't talk to the child.
Which he then chose to forget so that he could remember that Barrett had been kidnapped by pirates.
Good.
What he didn't have to
Adding the sassy child is just too much.
remember, though, was to subscribe. The words of Todd Howard brushed through his brain like Russell Crowe touching the wheat in Gladiator. You see that subscribe button? That's not just a backdrop. It is actually orbiting the planet. Yes, you can press it too.
He means
it
my
has 16
subscribe
times
button,
the
by
detail,
the way.
and it just works. Polygon had a sudden fear
16 times the detail, 72 times the fidelity, 8 times the graphics. A true next generation miracle. You will have to sell your family into slavery just to play this game, but that is acceptable. Also, if you're poor, buy a new PC or something like that. Todd, I love you so much.
that he was having a stroke, but thankfully the feeling faded. He remembered he'd heard some pirates have tentacle beards, so he decided Barrett might be worth looking for after all. A few misadventures later, his crew stumbled upon a pirate base that they believed held Barrett captive. Curious to see if Sarah's clone was also bulletproof, he took her out to act as a human shield. They infiltrated the base, ready to eradicate any pirate that...
Oh, he's gonna be disappointed when he finds out the NPC, the companions are barely able to even be bullet shields.
got in their way. And ladies and gentlemen, they got him.
Holy shit. You actually found me.
Is Constellation willing to pay ransom in exchange for this man's freedom?
Asking for a ransom forced Polygon to do the only thing he could. Rip and tear them apart in an intellectual smackdown and convince them they were all friends. So they let Barrett go for free, while leaving out the detail that they had just finished massacring all of their pirate friends outside.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, by the way.
Back in New Atlantis,
obviously.
Sarah's clone, fearing to get locked in the storage closet again, attempted to bribe Polygon into letting her stick around a while longer. He reluctantly agreed because his mind was on other things. The weight of blood on his hands was too much.
Man, you if there's one mod you download for this game, it's the one that gives Sarah a nice ass. Okay, that's the one. Let's be real, okay? Sarah, best girl, but, you know, she needs a little bit of touch-ups, you know? And in a society where seemingly that's not really a problem, she has no excuses, okay?
He sought affirmation, so he decided it might do him good to see some people he hadn't seen in years. Mom and Pop Picklesworth. He got ready to see his parents like anyone would, by putting on his Sunday best to make sure they pitied him thoroughly. He wasn't sure how he could face them after killing so many.
Just shoot them.
The weight of blood.
What? Well, I'll be.
After getting jump scared by his father's baldness, Polygon forgot what he was thinking about and began to wonder...
Oh no! Oh no! His mom looks more manly than his dad. Wow. Interesting.
About, and began to wonder where he could have inherited his luscious locks from. Lost in the moment, he let slip that he was now working for the ketamine collectors.
Constellation? Is this one of those candid camera vids? A joke?
No, it's more like a cult or something along those lines.
My child is a member of Constellation. I just knew you were special.
Polygon sighed in relief.
You know, this is the classic... You know, your kid doesn't do anything noteworthy, and suddenly a miracle happens, and your kid does something semi-intellectual, smart, or, you know, notable, and you're like, I knew you were in trash! Oh man, I thought you were gonna be a loser-minded forever, but turns out, you touched a space rock, and now you're special for no reason. Oh, I'm so proud of you, son.
When he remembered his parents were huge fans of The Big Lebowski and Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, which clearly did a number on his mother's mind since she couldn't tell the difference between Polygon and Sarah's clone.
I want you to consider this your home away from home. Your bed is always yours, no questions asked. I mean, well, I will ask questions, but you can stay here no matter the answers.
Being satisfied with his praise, Polygon decided it wasn't important to let them know about the hundreds of people he had slaughtered that week. So he picked up his faithful childhood companion, Sir Fluffigan, and took his leave. After quickly practicing his parkour on some local art, he met his parents at work. His parents had broken into his work.
Wait,
what? This is everything I imagined. Do you know I dreamt of joining Constellation when I was a girl?
At this moment, he concluded,
You're a girl?
His parents might have a bigger problem with drugs than him. He didn't worry about it too much, though, because his father dubbed him the title of man and gifted him a gun.
May I present to you Sir Malcolm Livingston's personal sidearm.
Polygon was so overwhelmed with joy, he said the most heartwarming thing he could think of.
Oh, that's a terrible joke.
Is
you
it,
are
though?
joking, right?
No.
Of course you are.
Leaving to go talk with a space Russian in a cool-looking yet structurally questionable space station.
Okay. First of all, a space Russian is not really anything special, but the space Russian, for some reason, is black. Yeah, that's not a real thing in Russia, you know. Just saying. This is probably the most out and fantasy thing in this whole game, by the way. I love modern day gaming.
Space Russian in a cool-looking yet structurally questionable space station, Polygon was told where he could find more quote-unquote artifacts, as his fellow team members continuously advised him to call the space ketamine. He assumed they were just being paranoid about cops. Then Barrett decided the best time to talk about his feelings was in front of the space Russian.
I just wanted to say thanks for the daring rescue back there.
Which he did, by spamming the thumb.
Bruh! Suck it up and not just don't talk about your feelings to anyone. Hey, okay, this is actually gonna be a real life tip, enough for the jokes. But if you're a man, learn to deal with your feelings, not just go up to random people and talk about them, okay? If you want to lose a girl, or respect, the fastest way to do that is just talk about your feelings to people. It gets real old, real fast.
Thumbs up emote and proceeding to talk about his dead husband. Polygon, uncomfortable dealing with emotion, landed on the first recreational artifacts location, Planet Pizza. Unfortunately, the locals had no intention of sharing their pizza.
Ooh.
So naturally, they lost everything. Suddenly, an image of Polygon's father flashed through his mind. He was so happy to know how proud of him his parents were at this very moment. Suddenly, he was ambushed by another weeb who was ready to avenge the souls of his ancestors to become the greatest hero because of his belief in the heart of the cards.
Hey, don't touch the heart of the cards. It's real.
By an act of God, or the ghost of Sub-Zero, the weeb was defeated, and Polygon took his weapon as a trophy.
Wow.
He felt a sudden urge to yell out the name of his attack as he plunged his blade into the heart of his enemies, but managed to resist. With Clan Pizzeria dead,
The saddest thing about Starfield's melee weapons is the fact that there's only one melee weapon. Because they all attack at the same rate. They all have the same attack animations, by the way. It's the same weapon reskinned without anything added or changed about it. It's great.
Polygon took their most prized ingredient. He didn't remember the next few hours, but assumed it was quite the bender. After a few cups of coffee and a trip to space, they encountered a random tourist ship, looking for quality pizza and, of course, the invaluable opinion of Captain Picklesworth.
Is being a ship captain non-stop thrills and excitement, like living in that movie Return of the Interceptor?
This man was clearly a buffoon who could only deserve one answer.
Oh, sorry. I think there was static.
He hoped the man had heard him, because this was the worst experience he'd had all day.
You must be super well off. You single?
This was the best experience he'd had all day. At the next artifact site, Barrett decided to tell a pun.
It might seem like you can place a mine anywhere, but it depends on how minerals form and collect.
Wow.
Polygon realized he did not like puns. Opening the mine, he was surprised to see a woman furiously shooting a dead body in a diabolical manner that went against any basic moral compass a human being could possess.
That's fine.
Truly, it was the most disgusting type of overkill Polygon had ever laid eyes on. It was love at first sight.
Don't come any closer.
The feeling was mutual.
Why just not shoot them?
Looking a little more murdery than usual.
Polygon could tell they shared something special. By the end of a traditional murder spree date, she was already starting to come around.
It is surprising to find someone else from Constellation who agrees with me.
They pinky promised not to snitch on each other for killing all those dudes, and then completely forgot what happened after.
Yeah.
Back at the lodge, Polygon was daydreaming about how many watermelons he could manage to fit in his cockpit. Like, just...
The unironic fact that Bethesda fanboys are like, oh my god, look at that, Starfield has physics! It's just sad and hilarious at the same time. I can't choose which one wins out more, but it is kind of funny.
So many watermelons. A lifetime supply of watermelons.
Also, let's appreciate the fact that Bethesda needs two months to add eat option, not just take option. You know, I think that's real cute.
Watermelons for
I
days.
do agree that we accomplished something together.
He didn't have the faintest idea what they were talking about. Thankfully, Andreja mistaked his blank stare for mysterious silence, which she was into. Back in the space station that Polygon's intrusive thoughts said could be destroyed with a chisel, the space Russian revealed that their next destination was a large artifact. Polygon shrugged and figured it was code for the club's biggest recreational stash. Sir Fluffigan had found a new home on the dash of Captain Picklesworth's spaceship, which he chose to think about instead of the child that was still on board.
Why are there so many people on board, by the way?
On a planet that really liked the color cyan, Polygon walked around like an idiot for an obscene amount of time, mostly looking at space jellyfish and binocular crabs, before running a marathon to find out that the large artifact was actually...
This is gameplay at its finest. And by the way, this never changes. And by the way, when it does, you wish it didn't. You wish it didn't. It's such a great game.
Code for an ancient Jedi temple drug den. Entering the Valley of the Jedi, he found a spinning magnet show that let him chase around glowing sparkles floating in the sky. He was sure he'd never been this high before. As he touched the sparkles, the rings began to spin faster, so Andreja broke 8 ribs and her arm for the sake of science. Finally, the rings aligned, and Polygon, desperate to be the center of attention, entered the center and pretended he was Space Jesus.
And that's how he became the Dragonborn of space.
Up outside, Polygon realized that...
By the way, how bad are the dragon shouts in Starrim? Well, I'm glad you asked. One of these shouts is a fireball. That's right, one of your special abilities is a super small fireball that does guess what? Minor damage. Yeah. It does barely any damage. How did they even add something like that to the game? I don't know. I don't know who thought that it's that it's an amazing idea to add a space Hadouken that's, you know, the size of a pea and does no damage. I don't know how they thought that that's a good idea, but they did. Nice one, Bethesda.
That could have easily just killed him, and that he might be developing a gambling addiction. So to de-stress, he used his new superpowers. Wait, he had superpowers?
Yeah.
That's not even in the script. What do you want me to say?
I don't know, just make something up.
As he practiced his newfound mastery of the Thume in front of the possibly now brain-damaged Andreja, he reasoned there were only a few explanations. 1, he had just gotten so high that he unlocked his brain's third eye. 2, someone had injected him with compound V.
I mean, from Archer, we know that it is possible to break the bounds of time and space with enough cocaine. So, you know, it is what it is.
While he was unconscious. 3, he was right, and he should have gotten his Hogwarts acceptance letter all those years ago. Or 4, it wasn't ketamine after all, but the drug from Limitless. He shrugged and figured it didn't matter as long as he had superpowers. So he soared off into the sky, to immediately be ambushed by pirates looking to avenge their dead friends.
Oh boy.
So Polygon engaged and killed every last one of them, while...
That's the most fun engagement I have seen in my life, by the way. 10 out of 10 certified banger.
Thinking he was glad he chose to forget that a child was on board the entire time. Now, what morals can be gleaned from this story?
None.
I have no clue. Honestly, I have no idea.
But I mean, if you're looking for anything deep in Starfield, you better look down at the bottom of a well.
What I do know is that I've come to enjoy Starfield. I think it's pretty fun anyway. I mean, come on, it just works.
No, it's not. Kind of funny, but horrible. The Scion, man. What a time to be alive. Anyway, this was Quizzer Said, and thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.